All right, YouTube. So the question is, do liberal black women want to be married? And that's a controversial question, but the answer is really simple. It's actually no. Liberal black women do not want to be married. They just want the wedding. And a lot of people may find that controversial. Let me explain. Many times, a lot of brothers, they think that women want a relationship, but in reality, this nowadays modern day time, a lot of men, they want relationships more than a woman. A lot of men desire to have families. A lot of men desire to have children. It's the women that don't necessarily want it for the long term. Not necessarily that they don't want children, they want children, but the image of the glorified single mother has been emphasized so much in the past 25, 30, 35 years that we don't even understand the mentality of the modern day liberal black woman. And I want to emphasize on liberal black women because it's not all so-called black women, but the majority of black women in America are liberal, about 95% of them and up, right? So we have to understand the conditions of the battle that we're in so brothers don't get caught off a surprise. So if people don't know, this is Tia Mowry, the famous actress, and her husband or former husband to be, I think his brother's name is Cory Hardrict. They've been married, I believe, since 2008, and they have recently just filed for divorce. Or Tia Mowry just filed for divorce under the reason for irreconcilable differences, aka I don't want to be with him anymore. So she made a post on her Instagram. I'm gonna read it, and I'm just gonna kind of give my opinion on it. So I have always been honest with my fans, and today is no different. I wanted to share that Corey and I have decided to go our separate ways. Now, I wonder, was it really Corey and her who decided to go their separate ways, or was it just her? Because women can file for divorce and just have the claim of irreconcilable differences. They don't really need their husband to make an agreement with that, which is funny because they need the man to marry them, but they don't need the man to divorce them. They can do that on their own. And majority of households who get divorced, 70% of the women or the relationships, the reason that they get divorced is due to the woman who files for divorce. So that's just something to keep in mind. It might be up to 80% now, but the women are the ones that file for divorce. As the late Kevin Samuels would say, they wreck their own homes. All right. These decisions are never easy and not without sadness. I think it's because it's not easy because you decided to become one with another person under the vows that you took before the Most High. And as Christ says, what the Most High has put together, let no man put asunder. So yes, it's not easy. Not it's not easy splitting yourself up from someone that you decided to make a union with under the eyes of the Most High. But again, if you made that union under God, but if you felt like God was really your own feelings, then I guess you can decide that you don't want to do it anymore when your feelings change. And that's what brothers got to understand. When a woman says that God told her this or God does this or I believe in God, the God of the liberal woman is her feelings. The God of the liberal woman is her ego. She believes in her ego. She doesn't believe in the God of the scriptures, and many brothers don't understand that. Y'all have these expectations that y'all going to be on the same page. No, the liberal woman doesn't believe in a patriarchal God of the scriptures where you're the head of the household. She believes you two are co-partners. So you got to check these women on what they believe. You got to inspect them because a lot of them they have beliefs that may go against contrary what you believe. And a woman is a great actress. She can pretend like she is in alignment with you until she get what she really wants from you. And then she can disassociate herself from you. So you want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into if you decide to, sign these quote unquote marriage contracts. We will maintain a friendship as we co parent our beautiful children. One thing about co parenting, you know what co parenting is? You have a child with another woman. That woman gets tired of you, either divorces you or she takes the kids from you, go to family court, and then she tells you, I'm going to put you on child support. And then the court decides how much you have to pay me. The court decides, and I decide when you can see your children. And by the way, I'm going to have sex with other men and bring them around your children. So that's what co-parenting is, especially for the so-called black men. So if you're not willing to go to that, you better make sure you be careful on who you decide to lay down with. A lot of brothers have to be careful and make better decisions on who they decide to impregnate. If they, because a lot of women, they want to be single parents. They don't want a family. A lot of brothers got to get that in their head. They think that the woman really wants, and once I get her pregnant, she's gonna, be more domesticated. No, you can't domesticate these modern women. They don't want to be domesticated. They're liberated. They're free. So you have to be careful when you decide to, make a child with these types of women out here, because having a child is not really going to cement the relationship like it did in the old times. If you had a child, when you're in the 1920s, that was going to basically, cement the relationship, cement the marriage. If you have a child with the woman now, she got what she wanted from you, your seed, and now she can do what she wants with you. She always has that connection with you to the child, and now she can either have you come and go to the makeup breakup cycle, or she can, put you on child support and you can get with another guy or get with the guy she always wanted. Just raise a child. That's the mentality a lot of women have these days. So you got to be careful out here, man. All right, keep going. I am grateful for all the happy times we had together and want to thank my friends, family, and fans for your love and support as we start this new chapter moving forward in our lives. As you see, they have this picture of them staring at each other. All right. This is a video she put on her IG. I just want to play a part of it and get my opinion.
Falling in love with yourself. I know you hate to admit it. There's a lot of other people you could be falling in love with. But you're choosing you.
All right.
Falling in love with
So, no, you shouldn't be falling in love with yourself. You should be falling in love with your husband, the man you made the vow with before God to stay for life. So, and another thing, the Most High didn't command us to fall in love with ourselves, quote unquote, fall in love with ourselves. He told us to love Him with all our heart and all our soul and all our might. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5. So when you love yourself, or in this instance, when you divorce your husband for quote unquote loving yourself or finding self love, you're acting as a narcissist. This is the epitome of narcissism. When a person puts themselves, or puts themselves above everything. This is what Miss Tia Mowry is doing right now. That's why in the caption, or she captioned this, I am love, I am peace. You see that with the butterfly emoji? She believes that she's the I am. She believes that she's God. She is the epitome of narcissism. And guess what? There are many women who have that same mentality. And when I say narcissism, that's not necessarily a bad thing for the woman. The woman is a survivor. She has to do what she's best for herself and her children. That's in her nature. But the error comes when brothers think they're going to quote unquote domesticate these type of women and be with them for a lifetime. That's not a guarantee in this society where women are raised to believe that they are above men and that a man is replaceable. So brothers have to understand these things when they decide to get into a quote unquote marriage with the modern woman. These women, these liberal women, let me specify, they're not getting married for the Most High. They're getting married for the attention they receive from their friends and their family, for the exaltation they feel because a man, quote unquote, chose them. They may not even like the man. They just may be like, oh, he at least chose me. I'm special. I don't even know if I want to be with him in 5 years, in 10 days. But hey, right now he chose me. So let me be so excited for this and plan my wedding that I always wanted since I was a little girl. That's all they care about. So you got to be careful if you decide to get into a relationship with these types of chicks. But I'm not saying that to discourage you brothers from getting into a relationship or to get quote unquote married. It's good to have a woman. It's good to, maintain that level of leadership. But just understand the world that we live in and keep the most high first and understand that things can change at any moment when you get into these relationships. All right. I guess something else I want to say. This is her husband, Cory Hardrict. He put a post right here. This October 3rd. This is about a week before all this happened. So I just want to put this. This is the last picture on his Instagram. He actually has no public statement about the divorce, but this is the comments from this video. And as you see right here, you got women saying, beg her, praying for you both. That's a nice one. What did you do? From my understanding, Cory Hardrict, he actually did not even want to be divorced. Apparently, he was surprised that Tia actually wanted a divorce. But look at these women. They are blaming him. They're telling him that he needs to beg her back. He did something. He said, fix it, Cory, for the dating world. Now, what did you did to Tia that made her file for divorce? We only knew you because of her. Don't give up on your family. I don't think he's giving up on his family. I think it's Tia that's giving up on her family. But you see the sympathy that the woman gets, and you see the vitriol that the man gets, especially the so-called black man. They just assume that you did something wrong. And as far as I know, he didn't do anything wrong. Even Tia just said that on her Instagram. She said it was just they're just going different ways. So I just think it's funny how the women always get seen as sympathetic and they get to play the victim, even though they're the ones that cause the problems. They cause the drama. And the so-called black man, he suffers in silence. But that's why I say you keep the Most High first, because in this world, this convention, this Babylonian convention that we live in, this land of confusion that we live in, you're not going to have a lot of sympathy from anyone. Really, your own best friend has to be the Most High, and then yourself, because not a lot of people are going to understand you or not going to care about your situation. Cory Hardrict is suffering in silence. He's trying to just finish out. I think he can start a new TV show, so he's trying to get that started. He's got other things on his mind, but this news definitely is going to rattle him. But just like a lot of so-called black men, he suffers in silence, or he talks with it with his friends. Hopefully, he does have some friends where he can talk it out and clear his mind. But that's the type of things that men have to go through in this society. There are a lot of good brothers out here who do want to maintain their relationships. They do want to take care of their families, but for some reason, that woman gets that itch in her pants, you know, and she just decides to leave. A lot of when they talk about men going through a midlife crisis, the woman goes through many crises in her lifetime. She goes from the initial crisis when she's about, from her age about 14 to about, 28, where she becomes aware of her sexual nature, where she decides that she wants to explore, wants to date, wants to get involved with boys. And she starts having sexual experiences. It can be as young as 13 all the way up to, age 28, where she just wants to have fun. And then when she gets to her mid 20s, late 20s, she wants to settle down and find a quote unquote good man. She decides that she wants to, get married after, spending a lot of time dating and, spending time with guys that she probably shouldn't have been with. And then when she gets to her late 20s, she wants to get married. Sometimes, especially when she gets to her late 20s, early 30s, And when she starts to date somebody, she tries to rush that man into try to marry them. And if that man doesn't marry them, she basically puts an ultimatum on him. And if that doesn't work, then she goes to her second whole phase. I say the first whole phase is from when she's a teenager to her early 20s, and then she goes to a second whole phase where it's basically her mid 30s to her early 40s. And then right around her mid 40s, she wants to, try to settle down again. And if she's married early, like in regards to like Tia, once she gets her mid 40s, she wants to try to see if she can relive that second whole phase again. That's the cycle of the woman. Then when she gets to her 50s and her 60s, then she's like, oh, I want to get spiritual and go to the church. So that's like the phases of the women that the woman goes through that a lot of people don't talk about. But that's just from my perspective what I see. But women go through a lot of phases as well. They just try to make it sound like the man has a midlife crisis. The woman goes through many mid and early and late life crises. So, but like I said, they don't really highlight that. They just highlight the man. But like I said, you brothers just make sure to keep the Most High first. If you do decide to get into a, quote unquote marriage, make sure you understand who you're dealing with and understand the potentialities that can occur, especially in this society. We live in a Babylonian society. It's a land that's built on confusion. So you have to be aware of every possible scenario that can come about. And you do that first by putting the Most High first, and everything else works out. All right. So peace.